crazy to think that in 2 months it will be 1 year since the initial launch of Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and we're about 3 months out from it being a year since the full game released. Obviously, Halo Infinite had a ton of hype going into it. It was supposed to be the first big title for the Xbox Series X, as well as Xbox Game Pass on PC, which is where I have been playing it. And, met with a ton of hype. It got pushed back a year because of graphical issues. Everybody thought, perfect, push it back a year. When it's released, it's going to be a finished, polished product that everybody is going to be super excited for, and they're going to play it for years to come. 343 said it was going to be a big, long project. It was going to be like a 5 to 10 year project they were going to be working on. And, they said all the right things going up to the launch, that they were going to take the community's concerns into play. Like, there's going to be a community message board. If people had issues and everybody was having a lot of the same issues with it or wanted new stuff, they would listen to that. They would talk about it amongst themselves, and they would add stuff. So everything that they had said going into the launch of this game was right. It brought the hype up to a whole new level. Even like the initial beta release, I believe it was November 15th of 2021. So much fun. Me and my friends played it. We all got home from work and probably played it 4 or 5 nights in a row. It was a blast. And then the game released with the campaign, and it felt the same. It really felt the same. And that's kind of what I want to take this video and talk about. But before we kind of get into the rest of this, though, just Halo, I was so hyped for it. It holds a special place in my heart. So obviously I had been a gamer up before I ever started playing Halo. I got into the Halo series a little bit late. I was PS2 guy, Nintendo, all that type of stuff. And then one of my friends ended up getting an Xbox, and then it led me to getting an Xbox 360 as well. And then subsequently, everybody I knew ended up having 360, as well as people who already had them. And it really kickstarted probably, in my opinion, the best generation of gaming. Just thinking about the video games that were on the 360 as well as the PS3 at that time, to me, just with all the stuff they had where Call of Duty was at the time, a bunch of other games, like that generation of gaming was so good, and Halo was really at the forefront of all of that. Halo 3 was my first Halo game. I went back and played the other ones after that. So that's why it was so disappointing to me when Halo Infinite bombed as bad as it did. So I want to take this video and just kind of talk about, from what in my own opinion, and what I had kind of been hearing from other people throughout the first year of this game's release, what went wrong, and is there any hope for the future? So we'll talk about that in this video, but before I get into that, I wanted to ask you guys, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button for me, like the videos, comment your thoughts on my videos, especially this one. I want to know what you guys think. Follow me on, I have social media accounts for my YouTube channel over on Twitter as well as Instagram. Go subscribe to those. I'll link those in the description as well. Follow those. Let's get into this. So the biggest thing was, me and one of my friends had been playing a lot of Halo Master Chief Collection before the launch of Infinite, and we had both agreed that Halo Infinite was just too big to fail. It was, a big company working on it, a game that is so popular, they knew they wouldn't be able to screw it up. They had already pushed it back a year because they knew it wasn't going to be right. So in our minds, like, this game's too big, it's never going to fail, they're going to make it right, and it's going to be amazing. We were so excited for it, so hyped. And then, as I mentioned, like, the game dropped, and it just, you get the beta, and you're just like, okay, basically what it was is you entered into one, multiplayer session where it just kind of split you up between Slayer, Capture the Flag, and I believe it was Oddball or something along those lines with the skull. And it was a ton of fun. And like I said, played it a lot. And then it just felt like when the game launched, yes, it had the campaign, which I can say I didn't finish. But like the multiplayer, yeah, they added a few game modes, but then they also said it's going to be a month before we'll add a couple more game modes, and then we're going to kind of keep adding to it. And the final launch of the game in December just did not feel like anything different from the beta. But we still played it, still gave it a chance. So we kind of wanted to talk about with certain things what did go wrong. Was it developer issues, which I believe was a big part of it? Was there maybe too much hype? A lot of, like, I think, a lot of times nowadays too, like, everybody, they get so hyped up for something, and a lot of things aren't quite hitting the mark just because of, with the internet and social media and everything, things just get incredibly hyped up now. And I feel like a lot of things fall short of expectations due to that reason. And there also could have been a variety of other problems as well. So, like, the biggest thing I noticed was just that, like, when the final game launched, the multiplayer modes, they all just weren't there. It just didn't feel like, it felt very much the same as what the beta was. And like I said, they did say we'll add more to it down the line, but it wasn't a great start. Then another thing, 4-player or just in general co-op campaign. That wasn't there. And at this point, it's been promised multiple times throughout the last year since the game's launch. I believe there was 2 times they said they were gonna launch it, and it just never happened. And I get it, open world game. It was an open world campaign, and I get how it's going to be hard to incorporate 4 different players into that. Like, would they all be chief? Would one be chief and the other 3 be different characters? I understand how it's hard. It would be difficult to turn the open world game into a co-op experience. So I definitely understand that. And then another issue maybe with the campaign itself was that did Halo hit the open world market too late? A good idea for a Halo game. It was really cool getting to explore some things especially with the grapple shot. Like, that's always a cool addition as well. But open world games have actually been getting kind of, people are getting a little stale, maybe, like something that needs to be new to make a really good open world game. So maybe, that could be another problem. Did Halo hit the open world campaign a little bit too late? I would have liked to have just been able to blow through a regular old Halo campaign just like they've always been. But again, I understand from a company perspective that you wanna add to some things, like you wanna expand your horizons with the game and don't just want to do the same old thing. So the open world thing's a good idea, but maybe they were too late. And then speaking about missing the mark, let's kind of jump right back into some multiplayer stuff here. Was just the classic multiplayer arena setting, was it good enough? Because obviously, as we all know, today's day and age, the biggest multiplayer thing you're gonna get is battle royales. You got Warzone, obviously, you got Apex, Fortnite is still somewhat popular, PUBG, people still play that. Obviously, with the launch of Warzone 2 coming up soon now at this time, that's got a lot of hype to it. So did they miss the mark there? Were they too stubborn that they we've always been an arena-based game. We've always been an arena-based multiplayer setup. We kind of want to stick with that, right? Which is fine, but maybe adding a battle royale component might have made, giving you the extra step up, and people would have really loved that. It might still make the game big now. Who knows? Now we'll never know unless they decide to add something like that. But then, talking about the multiplayer as well, I feel like the maps, and you kind of notice, and that's the thing, you play the beta, I think you rotated on 3 or 4 maps, you're like, okay, these are cool, but I'm ready to see what they're going to add when the game actually launches. And to this point, they've added maybe a couple, but they've all been just small, kind of empty, and there's been better maps in the old games. I'm sorry, like Halo 2, Halo 3, there's better maps in those 2 games than there are now. And it's just, to me, that was very disappointing, especially, like I said, at the final launch, when you're just like, these are just the same maps. A couple of them are a little bit bigger, but it just doesn't feel like there's really much there, and the maps were boring. And I think that's a big part of what this game's been getting, is it just, a lot of it just feels empty. Like, it feels like there's so much more they could have added to it, and it's disappointing that within the first year they haven't added more. And the 2 games I played today were the same 2 maps that I had played initially when the game first launched. So I'm just like, okay, I played 2 games, same 2 maps, and the gameplay was just boring. So that's why I decided to back up. But it's just like that to me. It's like there's nothing new here. Like, what I know, they've added some game modes. They're doing like mini events within their seasons and stuff, which is cool. But at the same time, like, some of those game modes, I get they kind of tried like a last man standing battle royale mode there, but it's just not the same. It's just the classic BR format. Speaking of the seasons, they of course followed the battle pass route, which I thought I was going to be getting into every battle pass in this game and completing them. But see, the thing with the battle passes in this game as well is they also just feel empty. Like, a lot of the stuff, the stuff is boring. Like, the rewards are just like, I don't care. And I get from Halo's perspective, that's how they've always been. Like, you have your normal armor, and then you get like helmets and like shoulder pads and like wrist stuff and knee pads and like chest armor, and you've always like they've never done what other games do, like with Apex and with Call of Duty and Fortnite, of course, with skins, to where it's like skins from different like anime skins or other movie skins, or like Rambo or Die Hard in Warzone. So it's like, I get that Halo's never actually done that, because you got to have like the classic armor, the Halo armor, which is fine. But it's just, a lot of the rewards then are just like pieces of armor, and it's just none of them really stand out like a full-fledged skin would. So I think that's another issue too. The coloring system is different. Like, you got to get like a color palette. And like, in the old Halo games, you could just pick a primary color, a secondary color, and a tertiary color if you needed it. And I feel like a lot of that customization was taken out in this game. And the store is just the store has always been kind of just meh from what I remember. And like I said, I haven't played the game much at all since it launched. Maybe the last time I played it, like, seriously, was like back in February. So it's like there's really nothing to draw me back into the game. And then I wanted to go back to the hype when I talked about the hype of the game a little bit, and maybe that has something to do with it. And obviously, like me and my friends have talked about it now with gaming. Like we're getting older. Maybe just the things that we found interesting. Man, who knows? Maybe Halo 3, if it came out now, maybe it wouldn't be that great. I mean, obviously, Halo Infinite has improved upon Halo 3 because they added a lot to it. Like Halo 3 is just classic. You run, you jump, and it's just a shooter. Where now they've added everything, like sliding, ledge grabs, sprinting. I know they've kind of experimented with sprinting being like an attachment to your armor you could get, so you couldn't sprint all the time, only if you picked up that attachment. I'm happy that they went with the classic, like nowadays getting with the new form of video games where run, sprint, wall grab, that type of stuff is important and stuff that people want in their games because it helps with the fluidity. And I'm happy that they've improved those things in this more recent game. But yeah, just the fact that now, like maybe it's just not that interesting to us anymore. Maybe they needed to do something bigger than just the regular Halo format with a few added little touches to help the fluidity of play. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. So I don't know. It's just the whole thing has been so disappointing to me. It's one of my biggest video game disappointments in the last however long. And just, I don't know. And you just look at the future of video games right now is multiplayer wise, there's not a ton out there. A lot of the things that I'm looking forward to this year are all single player experiences. I'm looking forward to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 because I thought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 was amazing. Warzone 2, we'll see if I give that a try. I'm sure I will at some point. But multiplayer-wise, it's just the state of the multiplayer gaming right now is just, it's a little bit stale because it's all just, like the regular old multiplayer just doesn't really get with it anymore, which is kind of what I think Halo's experiencing. And Battle Royales, like they're fun, but to me, like I guess I played a lot of Apex in the last 6 months, so I might be a little just burnt out on them. But I definitely understand the allure of Battle Royales, but that's kind of what all the big video game developers are doing now and focusing their time on for multiplayer games. So I don't know. It's video games are in a weird spot right now, but overall, it's just like when I just think back on all the games that I was really looking forward to and just didn't meet the mark, this one does it. And man, like I said, the campaign didn't even interest me. So I don't know, but can they bounce back? I mean, obviously I believe it was announced somewhat recently that in November, they're going to add co-op campaign and the beta for Forge, but it just doesn't, Forge is cool. Like Forge is a good way for the community to make maps, and they put the community's maps into the game at some points. But if the developers have to rely on the community to make their maps, like that's nothing. Like they need to do something to make this game better for everybody. And at this point, like they said, they were going to keep adding and doing new things to it to what the fans wanted, but it just doesn't seem like that's happening, unfortunately. And I don't know. So they're trying. They're going to try to add some things, but at this point, is it too late or is there hope? I guess we'll find out as time goes on. I hope there's hope that it comes back, but it feels like it's already just so dead that it's going to be hard to dig it up and bring it back out and make it as popular as they thought it was going to be on launch. But anyway, that's my opinion on it. I want to know what you guys think. So let me know down in the comments what you think of Halo Infinite. If you think that co-op campaign, Forge, and maybe some more additions to multiplayer will help this game, let me know that down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.